Update. Am I the a-hole for not letting my ex-husband's new girlfriend have a piece of his mother's jewelry? Original post. I, 40 female, and my ex, we'll call him Joe, 41 male, were high school sweethearts. Started dating when we were 17, married at 19, and divorced 20 years later. So going on 2 years now. We have an amazing daughter, Sarah, who is 8, and has adjusted really well to the separation. Joe and I get along great. The divorce was amicable and we're still good friends. Not like we hang out alone or anything, but we don't argue or fuss at each other, help each other out, and just overall have each other's backs. Because at the end of the day, our number one priority will always be Sarah and doing what is best for her. We've both moved on and are in serious long-term relationships with other people. His girlfriend, Lily, 46 female, is great and really good for him. I have never had any conflict with her and enjoy spending time with her when we all get together for holidays and important events or celebrations. Until last week. Joe's parents passed away within a month of each other last summer, and it was devastating for all of us. Even though Joe and I had already been divorced for about a year, they still treated me like family, and I love them dearly. Joe and Lily hadn't started dating yet, so she never met them, which is a shame. They were incredible people. Long story to get to the point, but I feel like the background is important. Last week, Sarah got a box in the mail from her aunt, who was responsible for dividing up my late mother-in-law's jewelry amongst the kids and grandkids. She had a huge collection of both costume and more expensive fine jewelry. I let Joe know about it, and he explained that some of it was left to me, so he would come over and we sort through it together. Lily came with him, which was fine. It was extremely difficult and we were both very emotional, so I'm glad she was there to support him. Here's where I think I may be the a-hole. As we were going through the jewelry, we had pulled out a couple of cheaper pieces of costume jewelry for Sarah to have now, and I had picked out a couple of rings, a necklace, and 3 pairs of earrings to keep knowing that they will eventually go to Sarah as well. Joe and I agreed that the rest of it would be put away in a lockbox that we each have a key to at my house, and would stay there until Sarah's older and it goes to her. One of the pieces being put away is a beautiful set of ruby and diamond earrings and necklace that are obviously very real, and we believe were passed down from Joe's grandmother. Lily had been admiring the set and making comments about how well it would go with the wedding dress she had been looking at. They aren't engaged, or even with some of her date night outfits. Joe didn't say anything to her in response, and when she put them down, I wrapped them back up and put them along with the rest of the jewelry in the lockbox. Since then, Lily has texted me multiple times, asking about them and if she can just borrow them. At one point, she accused me of just wanting them for myself, and pointed out that Joe and I were divorced, and I didn't have any right to keep them. She has also said that when they get married, the jewelry will legally be part of their marital assets anyway, so I'm just putting off the inevitable. I'm not planning on wearing them. Per my agreement with Joe, I'll wear the pieces I picked out and the rest will stay put away for Sarah. I have zero intention of taking any of it out, unless it's necessary. And even then, I'll let Joe know what's going on with it. Joe has been radio silent, and I haven't said anything because I don't want to cause any conflict that could have an impact on Sarah. So am I the a-hole for not giving in and letting Lily have some of the jewelry meant for my daughter? Not the a-hole. Jewelry handed down to your daughter from her grandmother never belonged to her father, so won't ever be part of the marital assets. The jewelry isn't even yours to give or lend. It's your daughter's now. I suggest that you put a note on the outside of the box stating that the contents of the box belong to Sarah and that she inherited the contents from her grandmother. If something unfortunate should happen, there is no doubt that the jewelry belongs to your daughter. If the girlfriend continues to harass you, I think you should forward the texts/emails to your ex. I would also take photos of every piece of jewelry, from the costume to the real stuff, and make an itemized list of every single item. In fact, it might be a good idea to have both you and Joe sign a document referring to the attached photos and list, stipulating the jewelry belongs to Sarah and was a gift from her grandmother. Inheritances aren't usually part of the marital estate, and your kids and your ex-wife's things are definitely not part of a marital estate. Lily is greedy AF. The audacity that Lily's trying to pull this before she's even a fiancé. Like that wouldn't make it right, but still. I hope OP lets the ex know what he's got on his hands. She is a pushy thing, isn't she? It is a big red flag, and I hope your ex sees it as such. The greed is really disgusting. She's willing to steal from a child. I hope the ex takes note. Put the jewelry in a safe deposit box. Give a relative of yours the extra key. He may be persuaded by Lily to borrow it. It should go to your daughter. The nerve of Lily. Now for the update. So many of you asked for an update, so here it is really quick. I wrote this out yesterday and figured out that it was probably better to make a new post than edit the other one with it. So yeah, here's what's going on. Joe took an extended lunch yesterday and came by the house without Lily. I explained to him why I was reluctant to bring everything up, but I was tired of being harassed about the jewelry and that I feel strongly about it belonging to Sarah, not to either of us and certainly not to Lily. He agreed immediately and was shocked to find out that she had been asking about it, and then angry when I showed him the messages. I figured the best course of action was a face-to-face conversation with him and being able to hand him my phone so he could see the conversation for himself. And there would be no way for her to accuse me of making it up or photoshopping anything. It sucked to see him so upset over it, and I have a feeling that it's going to get worse, because from what he was saying, it sounds like Lily won't be around much longer, and regardless, she won't be allowed back in my home and won't be spending any time with Sarah alone if it doesn't break up with her. I did also go first thing yesterday morning and open a safe deposit box at one of the local banks. It's not the one I normally do business with, and as of right now, my name is the only one on it and I have the only key. I was worried about the possibility of Lily having any kind of access to the jewelry with it being in the house, and until all of that is resolved, I feel better knowing that there's no way for her to get to it. Joe and I also discussed this when he came over, and he said that he agrees completely that it's the best course of action to safeguard Sarah's inheritance. All but one of the pieces I picked out also went in, and as much as I would love to have a couple of the other pieces to wear in remembrance of mother-in-law under really hard days, I would rather know it's safe, and I still have the one piece that brings me so much comfort. All kinds of notarized documents will be on their way to me and should be here by the end of the week, when I have a meeting set up with a lawyer to determine what else needs to be done to ensure that the jewelry will go to Sarah without any issues or challenges. I spoke to the aunt that sent everything over the weekend after I posted this and got so much advice, thank you all, and requested she send copies of everything pertaining to it, along with documentation from her as the executor of what was sent to who, etc. I didn't tell her about the issues with Lily. I don't think that's my place, and I'll let Joe deal with telling his family or not as he sees fit. I have an appointment later today with a GIA certified appraiser, so I should be able to take all of that with me to the lawyer, as well as the pictures and video that I took of each piece last night. I'm still leaning towards a trust as the best way to make sure Sarah's interests and assets are protected, but we'll see what the lawyer says and go from there. I feel terrible for Joe. He's a great guy, and even though our marriage didn't work out, I still care about him and always will. He's not just my child's father, but also one of my best friends. And I want him to find someone to be with that loves him the way he deserves to be loved. It's just that whoever that is needs to understand that Sarah's always going to come first, and he and I will always work as a team to make sure that she's happy, healthy, and successful in life. Our relationship with each other and other people aren't going to hinder her in any way. Thank you to everyone that commented and offered so much good advice and support. I really do appreciate all of it more than I can tell you. I didn't expect this to blow up the way it did, and it's really overwhelming, to be honest. I probably won't update anymore or add anything else to this, so thank you again. You guys seem to make a great team for Sarah. She's going to grow up very well loved. This was my reaction too. Reasonable people. How refreshing. My kid's dad had given me some of his grandma's stuff, and it's locked secured in safe deposit box under my name only. No one but me and him know. Unfortunately, he has terrible family members, so that's how we have to do things now. People suck. That's why I work with animals. I would also try to find pictures of his mother wearing them and write all the good memories you have from Sarah's grandparents. Perhaps this will work better if you printed and saved some files in a memory card, like a pen drive. Write about when you met his parents, when they said something nice, something about when you said you were pregnant and it was a girl, about Sarah's name and the day she was born. If you still have some of the first baby clothes her grandparents gifted, place them in a box too. Add recipes her grandma liked to bake. Doesn't need to be original, but a special dish she liked a lot. Ask the aunt if she kept an old tie from the grandfather, or some blue t-shirt he liked. A memory from him too. If it's not too much work, add a video about you talking about them to Sarah. A video you and her can watch in 10 or 15 years. Add pictures, lots of them, right behind a photo, a memory, or just a tag about it. Say all the things that made them amazing and how they will always love her and her dad. Add data, a smell, who was there too, who wasn't born yet, the things that were still to happen, the good things but also the bad. Tell about COVID. Tell about the end of the 90s. Tell about the moon landing. The grandparents must have said something, right? Tell about all the things you can. Sarah will only not receive the jewelry but an amount of love that is behind it. Her baby clothes, her grandfather's ties/shirt, the pictures, recipes, and your memories will bring a full impact that she's receiving much more than jewelry. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my parents they could be a part of my kids' lives if they gave me my inheritance? My grandparents passed away when I was very young. They left me an inheritance that would have paid for my education and helped me get started in life. If my parents had left it alone, I would be in a good place. My cousins and older sister are all debt-free and own their own homes. But my dad decided that he could do better than the account my grandfather left my money in. So I got $27,000 when I was old enough to get my money. That was about 10% of what everyone else got. My parents also lost a bunch of money that had been left to my mom. I have cut my parents out of my life. They were not invited to my wedding and they have not met my kids. My sister is child-free, so I have their only grandchildren. My parents want to be a part of their lives. I said that if they replaced my money with interest, I would forgive them and allow them to meet my kids. They say that I'm being ridiculous and that the amount of money I'm asking for would put a huge dent in their retirement fund. I asked them how much they would have if my idiot father didn't think he knew better than my grandfather. My sister thinks I'm being mean. I told her that she was welcome to give me her money if she didn't think it was affect her. She said she wasn't going to do that. I also suggested she go have a kid if she wants them to have grandchildren. Once again, that was not an option. It has been years, obviously, and I'm still angry that they stole my future just for my father's ego, to show he could turn a profit investing like my grandfather had. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. A huge dent in their retirement fund means they have it, and they owe it to you. So it's not a dent, it's restitution. Not the a-hole. I'd be taking them to court over it. If they took OP's inheritance, then it would be theft, no? Doesn't sound like it was chump change either. You are a minor. Your parents were trustees of your inheritance. If they were not qualified to invest the money, they should have sought professional advice. You have to be monumentally irresponsible to lose 90%. Check your local laws. I think you are entitled to a full accounting from your parents. That is, they have to provide details of how they managed to lose 90%. I'm a suspicious person. How could they have lost 90% of your inheritance, but not your sisters and their own retirement money? I would also check if you are still able to sue them. Just tell them you are kind in not suing them and getting them embarrassed in public for their stupidity. Not a-hole. You are too kind. I would have sued and placed a lien on their assets so that they cannot sell until you have been paid. My sister was old enough to get her inheritance. My mom did lose a bunch of her money too. Your sister was lucky. So your parents decided, instead of using all of their hard-earned money to invest in some extremely risky investments, they used your money to gamble? They should repay you with interests. Exactly. If they had any conscience, they would replace the money from their retirement fund. Why should they have a comfortable retirement whilst you're out of a lot of money? Last story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to speak to my biological parents after they gave me up for adoption and are now trying to contact me on my 18th birthday? I, 18 female, was adopted when I was just a few months old. My adoptive parents have always been open with me about my adoption, and they've been nothing but loving and supportive my entire life. I never really had any interest in finding out who my biological parents were. To me, my adoptive parents are my real parents, and I've never felt like anything was missing. However, last month, just before my 18th birthday, I received a letter from my biological parents. In it, they explained how they were young and not ready to be parents when I was born. They said they'd always regretted giving me up, but believed it was the right decision at the time. They also wrote that they had been waiting for me to turn 18 to reach out, hoping I'd be ready to meet them and build a relationship. When I read the letter, I felt nothing but anger. I understand that they were young and scared, but it feels wrong that they now want to be a part of my life just because I'm an adult. Where were they all these years? It feels like they're trying to swoop in now that the hard part is over. My adoptive parents have been incredibly supportive. They said it's entirely up to me whether or not I want to meet my biological parents. They even offered to be there if I decide to meet them. But honestly, I don't want to. I feel like my life is complete as it is, and I don't owe them anything just because they're my biological parents. I told them in a letter that I'm not interested in meeting or having a relationship with them. They responded with another letter, saying they understood, but hoped I'd change my mind in the future. They even sent me a gift for my birthday, which I haven't opened because it feels weird to accept something from people I don't know. Now, some of my friends are saying I'm being too harsh. They think I should at least hear them out, because they might have changed and genuinely want to get to know me. They say I might regret it later if I cut them off completely. But I'm just not sure if I care enough to take that risk. Am I the a-hole for refusing to speak to my biological parents and potentially shutting the door on any future relationship with them? Not the a-hole because this situation is not of your choosing. They opened a door, you closed it. I can guarantee you that you can reopen that door anytime in the future if you change your mind. Thank you. The decision is 100% yours. They made a choice and so can you. Not the a-hole. You're not wrong for wanting to stay with a family who has always been there for you. It's okay to prioritize your own feelings over meeting your biological parents now. As someone who was given up for adoption, there's only one reason to talk to the biologicals. If you want to. Not any sympathy for them or your friends saying you should. Only if and when you want to. No one but you gets a say. Not the a-hole. A good friend and his sister were adopted long ago. Sister was curious, did a lot of work to find Biomom. It was a crap show. Biomom was an addict and not a good person at all. Trying to get away from opening up the relationship caused her a lot of stress. When she looked at my friend about what he intended, he was all, "Nope, I love our parents and have no interest in connecting with strangers." And honestly, after what happened to you, sis, I'm happy with the family I have now.